When I look at your face down there in another place without me, or in ecstasy, and I'm left wondering. You push, you beg me to feel it, I push. I beg you to leave it alone. You're making it harder to feel human. This can't work.
Hey, welcome back. We are here with Rob from R Talsorian, and I am very excited to be sitting down at the Cyberpunk booth in my Fallout cosplay. I didn't plan the weekend as well as I would have liked to, but hello, Rob. Thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you, Eric.
If you could tell our viewers who you are and what you do here at R Talsorian.
All right, so I'm actually the main manager for media, press, you name it. They call me the media ambassadors because I have such a very wide-spanning job over interviews, you name it. If you've talked to R Talsorian accounts on pretty much anywhere, you have most likely spoke directly to me at one point, one way or another. I also handle playtesting, and I'm usually the main person who has to wrangle Mike and Cody at everywhere. So if you see me running through a convention screaming, it's usually because I'm trying to find one of them.
You seem very busy this weekend, as to be expected.
It's been crazy, but it's been a good crazy. I always prefer PAX Unplug over Gen Con because I can at least run across this place.
You read my mind. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, it's just for the simple fact that I can actually get through it without trampling small children. It works out well.
So, as far as Cyberpunk, because that was really what drew me over here, was I'm a big Cyberpunk 2077 fan. Played about 220 hours of the video game, watched the anime, and started diving into Cyberpunk Red. And we, as you know, have a media and TTRPG actual play channel. So for someone who is actually coming in as a fan of the video game, as a fan of the show, as a fan of the lore, because Neurospicy, I did a ton of deep dives into all the lore, what can you tell us about the core experience of Cyberpunk Red, as if you were speaking to a general TTRPG audience, you know, people who are coming in from Pathfinder or D&D or even Cypher System? Let's talk about the core of Cyberpunk Red and the mechanics and what makes it stand out or makes it fun in your opinion.
All right, so the one thing about it that I tell everyone is most people are used to games that are class-based. To go to the most common example, in D&D, you pick your class. That's your character. When it comes to Cyberpunk Red, you do pick your role, like Rocker Boy, Solo, things like that. But what defines your character is actually the skills. It's a skill-based system instead of a class-based system, which gives you a lot more customization. You can have an entire team of solos and not a single one be alike. You can have one who specializes in, I think we have up to 36 skills in it in total. And just in character creation, you get 86 different points to actually allocate where you want. It is a very, very robust system for customization. And it's also a lot more simple than folks let it be, because it really boils down to just one formula, which is roll 1d10, add your stat, add your skill, there's your result. You just have to beat a number instead of meet it. The base of the system is around a d10, but if you're doing damage, that's when you're rolling d6s. Actually, all damage is done with d6s.
So d10s and d6s.
That's all you need.
Awesome. So when you were describing skills, is it similar to the video game, where you start your character and then you're choosing your skills and your specialty along the way?
Well, you have, of course, your stats in general, body, technique, things like that.
Yep.
Those don't change. Your skills go up, but there is a huge number more. We're talking everything from contortionist to acting to even deduction, cryptology.
So the video game is just a small little taste then?
It's a taste of it. It's a taste of it.
That's great.
Because that's always the true difficulty in going from one medium to another. In video games, you can only do so much. When you're dealing with tabletop, you can do so much more with abstract.
I think that's one of the things that people really enjoy about the TTRPG world in general, is that you can have all these touchstones from movies and video games, and then TTRPGs really allow you to dive into the meat of making your own story, all the details, all the things that you didn't get that you maybe wanted out of the video games.
Exactly, yes.
You can do it in the TTRPG.
Like, even the tagline we have for the Edgerunner's Mission Kit is tell your own story in Night City. Because that's what everyone wanted to do with their game. Whenever people, went a little bit further with 2077, modding in new clothing, tattoos, appearances, everyone wants to have their own personal touch in their own story. And so we have things like that with the life path system, where quite literally since 2020, it governs what your character is, can do. helps you build the world around you more. And with Cyberpunk Red, there's always been a focus on keeping it street level. You don't get into huge world-saving arcs unless your GM wants to take you there. It's literally about surviving day to day, paying rent, trying to keep your best friend alive, covering medical bills. But it's always done with that simple vibe of you're just dancing along the edge of what is and is not acceptable and what you can do. But the whole point is to survive. It's not about saving the world, it's about saving yourself. That's what Mike likes to say.
Yeah, no, and if there's one thing that I've learned in the few years that I've been doing this, it's that stories that are focused on the street level, stories that are focused on everyday people that are placed in extraordinary situations, those tend to resonate so much more with audiences and with players, regardless of what the actual game system is.
Yeah, and it's very easy to make it personal. That's what we want.
Absolutely.
We want stories to stay personal because, yes, there's mega corporations, there's all these main characters, but it's about you. And that's the thing about it. Every game should be as different as possible. There's a table built for everyone. And it's a simple case of what's good for you and your players. Go with that. You don't have to always interact with, Johnny Silverhand and Adam Smasher.
Right.
It's who your characters need to be.
Can you tell us a little bit about your favorite character that you've created in Cyberpunk Red?
Oh, God. All right, so I was fiddling around with a fixer called Miser.
Okay.
Now, I made him with the pure intent of initially him being a tech that worked on brain dances. Okay. But the longer I went on, we had just released a DLC. We do these free DLC every month.
Yes,
just free
you were telling me
content
about that. Yep.
And we released one called Hornet's Pharmacy. Now, Hornet is Cody Pondsmith's character.
Amazing.
And he, in that, we released what's called the gas jet, which is a little palm-mounted gas jet that can fire off medication.
That's awesome.
So I loaded him with sedatives so he could get people into brain dances. And I'm like, I need something a little bit more easy. And so another item that was in that is called the Suzumibachi Hornet drone. So it's about a book-sized drone that's a wasp. So I loaded that with sedatives and knockout stuff just to try and get it, because the point is, you remember Ready Player One towards the end? Have you seen it?
I've actually not seen Ready Player One.
I'm not going to spoil it. Let's just say it's about tricking someone into believing they're in the real world when they're actually in a brain dance.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of kind of trippy stuff at the end of that movie, and it's definitely worth a watch, but it just...
No, take your time with it. It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
I prefer the movie over the book. I'm going to get completely tore apart for that. I don't care. But it's... It has that vibe of trying to get someone into a situation where they think they're still in the real world, but they're dealing with someone who's editing a brain dance live instead, and is using that for interrogation stuff to get information for gates. So Meister came out pretty fun. I've not had a chance to play him in a while. I regret that. I've been playing a lawman character instead.
Time to break him out, find a game.
I GM more than play. I'm an eternal GM by choice.
GM.
No, it's not a curse, it's a blessing. I love GMing.
Sometimes I like to sit in the player's seat, but as soon as I do, I end up kind of maybe stealing the spotlight a little bit. So I'm like, oh no, I'll go back to GMing.
Yep. Yeah, I always worry about saying or doing too much. I'm like, you know what? No, I just want to do my thing. I'm just going to GM and do it. I'm running currently 3 games right now. 2 in 2045, 1 2077.
I also do kind of actually like being in the GM seat.
I always miss it. That's the thing. When I sit down as a player, I always miss being a GM. I just can't shake it. So I've just accepted my fate. Even today, I'm most likely going to be running demo games over there just because I want to GM.
So getting back to books, as far as Cyberpunk Red, I know that you mentioned that there is some kind of an integration with the Cyberpunk Edgerunners kit. So could you tell us about what that integration looks like, where to find it, and what that's gonna look and feel like during an actual game of Cyberpunk Red in 2077? So what we've done with the Cyberpunk Edgerunner's Mission Kit is create a new starter set. It runs off of Cyberpunk Red with a new layer over it, which is the setup for 2077. Forgive me, my mask is slipping. It's driving me crazy. Effectively, what it is you have Cyberpunk Red itself, and then an extra layer over it of additional new rules, which is the 2077 setup. We introduce what we call rebuilds, which is the tech weapons, smart weapons, and power weapons that you see in 2077. Yes. Yep. And I love those ricochets.
Yes, well, with the Cyberpunk Edgerunner's Mission Kit, ricochets now, you can actually do them for a penalty on the roll.
Amazing.
And they will hit. So you can actually ricochet around with power weapons. But not only that, it's also some slight economy changes to rolls, being able to access stuff like Fixer's Hand that are specific to what they need. There is also, of course, quick hacks, which everybody wanted because everybody wants
Everybody wanted the quick hacks.
And everyone was so afraid that they would be overpowered, but no, they're very, very...
I did read that on Reddit.
Yeah, it's Reddit. I hate to say it, it's Reddit. Everyone thinks it's overpowered, but I've learned once people actually play against them, even as enemies, they realize, no, they're pretty solid. The thing people need to remember is not everyone's going to be throwing the puppet quick hack out left and right. It's so difficult to do.
Right.
But
I think people just saw how strong they were in the game, and
they saw it in a bubble, and when it's actually in play, it's a whole different story. There was something else I was going to touch on about it that's a switch around too. It mostly just comes down to one specific part that changed the way cyberware works, which is a neuroport. Everyone has a neuroport if you choose to, and it's for free.
yes,
And it gives you access to so many more pieces of cyberware that becomes just free to use, no humanity loss, so you don't go cyber psycho with it. That in general is just what allows quick hacks. It's just people hacking into that and controlling pieces of your cyberware through that. And that is what is affecting it mostly. If you don't have a neuroport, you can't be quick hacked, just straight up.
So it sounds like there also is a cyber psychosis mechanic in Cyberpunk Red.
There is. Cyber psychosis is governed with the humanity stat. You have empathy, and empathy governs your humanity stat.
Okay.
Now, humanity, for every single point of empathy, you have 100. You have 10 extra points of humanity.
Okay.
The more cyberware you have, the more it's lowered. You can also raise it back with therapy.
Yep.
In the Edgerunners Mission Kit, there is ways that's a little bit more fluid to make it easier to go up and down with humanity. Like just living a healthy life, having supportive friends, things that makes things easier for you to handle.
Kind of like encouraging connections at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's the thing too. A lot of people will go back and like, well, David Martinez had all this cyberware. Why didn't he go cyber psycho? And it's because he had a good support group around him of good people. He had a supportive mom. He had a good life. That's what kept him stable. Whereas most people are coming up off the street, much rougher situation. So we even had that reflected in the setup. But the big thing about it is in the back of the rulebook in the Edgerunners Mission Kit is quite literally a conversion guide to convert any Cyberpunk Red 2045 game into 2077 settings. So anyone can actually play a 2077 game now if they just have the mission kit and the core rulebook.
Is there a lore update primer in the mission kit as well?
There is.
Differences in corporations.
There is. It literally is called the Edgerunner's Handbook.
Amazing.
It has a full rundown of lore, changes. Do we have laws in there yet? I don't know if we have laws in there yet. But it's everything you need to run in 2077 is in that.
Amazing.
And it has an ample amount of weapons, gear. If you saw it in the anime, it's in that kit. That was the rule.
What was the most exciting part of the mission kit that you'd like to see, or that you're excited to see integrated into games, actual plays, channels, media?
I can't answer that without saying spoiler. Don't do that to me.
Okay, that's fair.
Don't do that to me. I will spoil it.
Is there a general feature somewhere in there that you're just really excited about in the mission kit?
The fact that people really underutilize downtime. So
downtime, okay.
So
well, there's been so many videos and podcasts and panels on downtime. I love this. Okay.
Yeah, every single person will always be like, when's the next gig? When's the next heist?
Yeah.
But there's so much time for character building and growth in those periods between, because we have the downtime where you can earn extra money on side gigs and stuff like that can pop up. I would like to see more focus on what happens to your characters when they're in between jobs. What's happening to them? How are they learning? What are their actual personal relationships like? What makes a character isn't how many heads they blow off, it's how they treat their friends day to day, because that makes them human. And the whole point of it is, how hard are you going to hold on to your humanity? And
that connects to the cyber psychosis too, and how resilient you are to it, if I'm understanding that correctly.
The better interactions you have, the more friends you have in your circle, you can affect it more and more. I wish I actually could grab one of the books out of it to show you what I mean. There's a whole sliding scale there of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can grab it if you want to.
No, it's okay. We'll get back on track with it. Y'all will never shut up. You got to be careful. But
my favorite part of the game was spending time with Judy and those little elements of downtime. So you're 100% correct on that. And I feel like I'm not alone, because downtime is something that comes up no matter what system, what game I'm playing. Downtime has always been special to almost everybody.
Yeah, and it's those moments of high action, high intensity, violence, stuff like that. Yeah. If that's all your game is, it becomes boring, it becomes the norm. No, you got to have the low moments to enjoy the high moments.
Absolutely.
And that's in any story, from books, TV, tabletop games. You've got to have that flow. And I would like to see more people who do focus on it, because a lot of people don't really realize Cyberpunk, while it is, yes, a game made around very high action stuff, there is more skills based around social interaction, crafting, and things like that than there is in combat. We have maybe 8 skills dedicated to combat, and then the rest is all other things like everything from cyber tech to driving to even animal handling and horseback riding.
Oh, amazing.
There's all kinds of little things like that, and it's so underutilized because a lot of folks aren't used to the freedom that the interlock system can give. Like way back when, the first question I ever asked my predecessor, Jay Gray, is, what's one thing you wish you could tell other people about more when it comes to Cyberpunk Red? And he straight said, I wish people would understand how much freedom they really have with this.
Right.
And now that I've been in his shoes for as long as I have, I now see what he means, because people are afraid of freedom with creation, but you really do have a lot of it.
So it really sounds like there's a lot of layers to open up here, and that's exactly what I look for in a TTRPG in general. Never mind in one of my new favorite properties.
Thank you.
So I know that there were a couple of other games that you were excited about showing us, but before we do, I gotta know, Street Kid, Nomad, or Corpo?
Corpo.
Corpo? Interesting choice.
I'll say why.
Hot take.
It's because it's the only one that makes it feel like you've worked with Jackie for a long time, and you reach out to him.
He's like your contact. You're almost like your hustle.
And plus, it gives you a lot of interesting dialogue that's quite literally kicking everyone else in the nuts when you get a chance to, when they try to show you up with their little corpo speaker, like, no, this is what I know. And then you can literally kick the feet off from under it.
I've seen a few tidbits. My roommate's currently doing a corpo run, and she's very much enjoying exactly what you just said, those little moments. But okay.
It's so satisfying. All the way to the end. Corpos is the best one.
Yeah, Street Kid here all the way. But I ended up with the Aldecaldos at the end. So.
Yeah, I think everyone loves that ending. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm not even going to reveal my favorite ending of Cyberpunk. People will hate me if I do.
That's fair.
People will hate me if I do.
So, as much as we love Cyberpunk, I know that you were excited about at least one of these other amazing products you have here. So I wanted to give you a chance to really geek out about something else here that you're really excited about.
Okay, so this is the one thing that I've been digging this whole time. Shadow Scar over there. That's Cody Pondsmith's new game.
Yes.
Cody himself, he wrote, the Witcher TRPG. He's had his hand in all the properties, but Shadow Scar's been he's been making that game since he was a kid.
I actually got a very quick demo while we were kind of hanging around before on Shadow Scar. It's really fun.
Shadow Scar's quickly become like, we have it, we talk about it, but it's one of those games that we
There's actually a box right behind you if you wanted to hold it up for the camera.
Well, it's one of the reasons why, like, I'm tongue-tied trying to get out. It's literally a game where we can talk about it all day long, but people need to play it to see it. Every single time we've sat someone down with a demo, they're like, all right, so what am I getting into? Every single time they've got up, went over and bought it. Okay. Because it pulls from two things that I love. There was an old PlayStation game that was called Tenchu Stealth Assassins. The combat itself was not around going around hack and slashing. It was trying to see what you could do through getting around level, purely infiltration, assassinations. Cody directly used that inspiration here. People nowadays would know that game more as Sekiro. That is literally the spiritual successor to it all.
Okay, that's amazing.
So that's how most folks would remember it now. But that in of itself, like, this is a multiverse game where you're hopping back and forth through different worlds. But
I was hearing about the portals as well, which is awesome.
The story gates. But for me, I like sticking to one world. And there is a whole system set up for that. And I can talk about this. He's not going to kill me. It's called Vanguard Groups, where quite literally you have members of the Shadow Scar Agency who stay in only one world. And for me, I enjoy the 1920s setting they have that's called Fifth Street. But while it's designed to be a noir set, it's actually taking place inside of a silver screen movie itself, where there's actually a backing soundtrack. There is an invisible entity called the Director that is controlling everything around
like
you.
Last Action Hero vibes.
A little bit, yeah. That's actually oh wow, I've not seen that movie in forever. That's a great reference.
I love that movie. That's like my guilty pleasure movie.
I now gotta go watch it again. Oh my god, you just
like the golden ticket sucks you into that. And then they have the rules for both worlds. That's like.
And the whole point is maintaining the secrecy and fighting what's called the Veil War, which is where the people of Nakatsukuni actually sent the goddess of death, Izanami, through what they called the Shadow Scar, which they ripped open the sky and banished all the yokai from their world into it, not realizing they just populated a whole series of other worlds with a whole lot more problems. So they're trying to clean up their mess, or to keep it in layman's terms.
Of course.
So it's a very versatile game. It is based around infiltration, but it can quickly turn into all hell breaking loose very quickly. It's very fun. And it's not even using interlock, which is what most of our games are based on. It's off of our new system called the Mosaic system, which is a dice pool system of D6s. So you only need D6s to play.
All right. So
And,
Cyberpunk D10 D6s, and for what's the name of the system one more time?
The Mosaic system.
Mosaic system.
Literally, Cody designed it. This is the first time we've used it. We're going to be keeping using it too. But
Awesome. I mean, because everybody has D6s, and
'cause
everybody has a lot of D6s.
yes, you cannot get rid of them. One thing we did though that we had to do here for PAX, because we unfortunately did have a problem. We were trying to get the core rulebook finished for PAX Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
Due to some art delays, we could not. So Cody just kind of went, hey, people want it. Why not we just release the character creation rules for free? So we released the character creation rules for Shadow Scar, just straight free online. We had copies of it here physically, already all gone.
So could someone technically go online to grab it?
Yeah, you
Right
can
now,
either
okay.
go onto the rtalsoriangames.com website or DriveThruRPG, and they literally have it right there for download. If you have the digital version of the Shadow Scar starter set, you already have that on DriveThruRPG too. I put that into the file myself this morning.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you.
So basically, anybody who has Shadow Scar can actually make a character and play in full now on their own
Perfect.
worlds. Roll20, of course, was my first place 202 back with D&D 4th edition.
Yeah.
And I can say we're trying to get Shadow Scar on there. I'm making a little push because I want Mechton, but that's just because I'm a fanboy about it. Don't get me started. I just like big robot stompy things. But we're aiming to have it on there too. We're working with other VTTs to have it out there as well. It's
Awesome.
We're wanting to get the core rulebook out before we start getting the other pieces in place.
Very good. All right.
And the core rulebook is going to be out as soon as it's finished. It's one of those cases where
ASAP. Got it.
we've always been a company that we don't really set dates. We set windows, and when it's ready, it's ready. I mean,
love that.
I usually set the
More of
release
that.
dates, and I literally will go, nah, let's just do it now and just release it. We did that with the creation set.
Awesome.
That's the goal.
All
Hopefully
right.
sooner, but we'll see how it goes. I don't want to set an exact date. We're just trying to get it out as soon as we can.
Very cool. Very cool. Before we wrap up, is there any last thing you want to plug or shout out to or say about any of the stuff here, any of your products?
Well, not really. I'm actually happy y'all stopped by and at least said, hey. I mean, it was a
great.
wonderful way to end the day yesterday, just having a good talk and actually talking,
Sure,
YouTube and tech. Because as I said, before I was even here working for RTAL, I was a YouTuber like everyone else.
Yep.
And I'm walking proof that somehow you can wind up in spots where you have no clue how you got there.
I know the vibes.
But no, Aaron, thank you for sitting down with me and
Of
talking.
course,
I'm actually
thank
glad
you.
to have you here too. And if there's anything else y'all need here too, or
thank
any
you so
additional
much.
questions, come back by. I'll be here today, Mark.
Alrighty. So
Mike.
one.
You want to wait?
You want to wait?
Yeah,
We
just
got Mike
another-
Pondsmith right here.
They're currently doing an interview. You want to say hey?
Yeah.
You want to say hey real
We
fast
have
to them?
the
They're just doing a quick interview.
Edgerunner himself.
Yes.
I'm honing in on his interview. He's the important one.
Oh, come on. But yeah, we should be good and set to go. We're all set. But I won't hold you any further. But thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah,
again,
of course. And thank you for the celebrity cameo in the video. We appreciate
I'm so
it.
sorry I couldn't get your mouth.
Last but not least, where can everybody find you and where can everybody find R Talsorian?
Well, for me, I am quite literally, if you're on social media and look up anything R Talsorian, I'm the one behind every single one of those accounts.
Okay, all right.
My old channel
So
is
you
Dice.
are the media guy.
I am the media
Yes,
guy.
okay.
My old channel on YouTube is still Dice TTRPG. I've not posted in a year. I am terrible about it. I need to fix that. But otherwise, anywhere on any socials is R Talsorian Games. You can also go to our website at rtalsoriangames.com to see our full setup. We have most of our stuff on almost all VTTs, save for a couple now. And if you want to get easy access to anything digital, go to DriveThruRPG or go to the Cyberpunk Red Nexus.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah,
Thank you so
that's it.
much.
Yeah.
And stay safe out there in Night City.
Thank you very much for the hand.
Of course. Thank you.